Former Principal and Vice Chancellor of the University of South Africa, Professor Barney Pityana, joins us for this conversation. Prof, a great pleasure to see you. Thank you very much for being with us.
Good evening. Thank you very much for the invitation.
You're most welcome. Before we, get your reaction on the latest developments regarding the Minister of Higher Education and Training, I'd really like to get a sense from you where you believe things went wrong at, such an incredible, big institution, well-respected institution like Unisa. Where exactly, and I suppose it would be difficult to pinpoint, but where do you believe, having been at the institution, where the problems actually started there?
I think the problem started with a council that was appointed in 2015 or so. And I have Professor Manda Makanya's evidence for this, because it was, by all accounts, a council that came hell-bent to, as it were, interfere in the governance of the institution and to undermine the authority of the Vice-Chancellor. So the real substance of the problem at Unisa is a problem of governance and of leadership.
How is it possible that few people, that are possibly, somewhere at the top of the food chain, are able to, cause such far-reaching consequences for such a big institution? It's always very clear that nobody's bigger than any institution. Needless to say, an institution as large as Unisa. So how are so few people able to cause such big problems?
Well, I mean, the entire Unisa debacle has been highly politicized, unfortunately. Both you can see the succession of honorary degrees of judges and political people in that sort of way. And this has been the trend for a while, and it's been rather unfortunate, really, that it has come to that. The minister himself has been really very, very slow to take action in the face of the evidence that was mounting before him. It was the Mapai MTT that he called, and later on the Musia independent assessor. Even then, he was very, very careful. In a sense, I feel for Minister Nzimande, because he was very, very careful in trying to abide by all the Chapter 4 prescripts in the Higher Education Act.
Yeah. Prof, all right, a two-pronged question then on the latest developments. Firstly, what are your thoughts on what the Minister of Higher Education and Training, Dr. Blade Nzimande, was attempting to do in terms of placing the university under administration? And then the second part of my question then relates to, the court's response to that, which is, of course, the interdict against placing the University of South Africa under administration. So your views on both of what's now transpired?
I am on record as saying that the best thing for the University of South Africa, is to give effect to the Musia report. That is correct. It has taken too long, unfortunately, to do so, and who knows? There could be a lot of damage that is taking place in the meantime, and the intricacies of the case, which I rather call lawfare on steroids. I do not know, and I can't comment on the case itself. And I'm sure the minister has got legal advisors who will advise it. But overall, I am not convinced that it is in the interest of the university to prolong and drag the university through the courts of this country over a question of the council of the university, which council are not even employees of the university. Yeah. So it's not that people are losing their employment. They are not using it. They are in there really to serve a public good. And it has appeared that that good was not being served. So whether the university takes that report on review, I can't comment on it because it's not my report. and I don't know. But it has wider implications for the governance of higher education institutions. That's my worry.
I want to talk about how much embarrassment this really causes, not only for the institution, but South Africa at large. I think South Africa really perceives Unisa as having been a place of pride, and I mean, very many well-respected people achieved many great things through Unisa, their degrees, their qualifications, and so forth. This must be quite an embarrassing situation, is it not?
It is very embarrassing, and indeed, I think Minister Nzimande has said it again and again, that Unisa was too big to fail, which really is true. So he was very reluctant for a long time to intervene. The problems at Unisa emerged as early as 2015, and there have been interventions, internal interventions after one over a long time. So Minister Nzimande has prolonged this matter and didn't act speedily enough as he should have done.
Yeah. What is the worst case scenario? And I think I just want to pick up from, the statement that you made, which, was made by the minister, that, the institution is too big to fail. I don't see the institution, not being there, or, just being a dead building that we see as we drive into Pretoria. What possibly is, the worst case scenario? And I'm glad you spoke about the fact that, people are still working. There are, that's not really where the issue lies per se. But what is worst case scenario should this situation not be resolved very quickly?
The worst case scenario for me is that the university and its reputation is in tatters as we speak. And I fear the reputation of the university for me is very, very important, and the credibility of the university and the degrees that it awards. Yeah. That is, for me, the worst thing more than anything else.
All right, Prof, thank you very much for giving us your insights and your views on the institution. The former Principal and Vice-Chancellor of the University of South Africa, Professor Barney Pityana, there joining us for the conversation on, of course, the Minister of Higher Education and Training, Dr. Blade Nzimande, has been interdicted from placing the institution under administration.